Hey everybody, I hope you're doing pretty well. So I'm back this week to do my weekly AMA recap, give away some dark energy crystals, and this week we are also going to do a review of the new Airdrop legendary cards. Plus we got a whole bunch of new eye candy to look at that is really cool, and there were some minor cool announcements. Some of them might have went under your radar that could be pretty big. I know one of them kind of went under my radar, so let's go ahead and get into this. So Greatly Chatter puts out this town hall update recap. You can always come to the post, go through it, and read it. But I also tried to listen to the AMA. This weekend I was pretty busy. I listened to it in like 3 or 4 parts. There were no like super breaking things in my mind. A couple interesting facts came out, but the eye candy was really cool, and everything is going, pretty well for the team when you think about it, considering how bad the market has been for some things. So we had a whole bunch of new speakers. I'm not going to cover this a lot, but if you're interested in meeting some of the new team members, hearing them speak, possibly seeing them on camera, I listened to this. I didn't watch it. So I don't know if they came online, but it's nice to see the team really ramping up. The reason why I say this is nice, right? They're doing their biggest sale they've ever done before, 15 million packs at a double the price of the old pack. This means they're getting more funds internally than they've ever done before. Did they keep everything the same? Did they keep a small amount of devs? Did they keep all that money from themselves? No, they're investing it into the company. They're hiring a lot of people, bringing on more devs, building out more of the game, and also trying to just grow their brand, because the two founders of this company, Agro and Yagermet, the thing that they've done for me more than anything else is show me that they are not people who are worried about making themselves extremely wealthy from the money that comes into the game. They are participants in the game. They are major holders of cards within the game. When the game succeeds, if they can push this game into an international, popular thing, they will succeed because they are part of our community. So that, on top of that, I'm sure they all get paid a salary and things are going good at the company, but it's different as opposed to somebody who decided not to hire more people, decided not to branch out, decided to just take those millions and put them in the bank like they could have. So now we'll just go ahead and move on to some of the main topics that they covered. As you can see, they give you timestamps here so you can jump through to each of the different people. But as you can see, like the first 47 minutes were 50, almost hour, were just meeting people with little nuggets being dropped here and there. So it's only really exciting if you just want to see how much the team wants to grow. But then we get into a couple different things. So the main thing I would say that came out of this is that the general sale went pretty well. The credit system had a backlog, but it got worked through, and since the sale didn't sell out in the first day, there weren't a lot of complaints. The credit system not working fast could have been a problem if the sale would have sold out, but kind of gladly for the team that didn't happen, and now they're aware of that problem, and I'm sure it won't be a problem on drops in the future. Basically, so many people bought credits, and the credit system can only handle so many transactions per block that it just had a delay. And some people had to wait 15-20 minutes for credits to show up in their account. Maybe a few people had to wait even longer at the peak time of people ordering those. They did have a nice little section where they talked about how KYC and fixing KYC issues for people to allow them to use PayPal to buy credits and eventually in the future like SPS within the system. Is a big thing that the team's making sure they have some experts on staff and they can ramp them up to more hours and more time so that doesn't become a problem, because they do understand that you need fiat on-ramps into your game when your game is a crypto game, and PayPal is the easiest one for them to work with. So it's good to see that. We don't want to see people want to come play the game and then go like, there's no way for me to pay, right? So I'm not going to get in. Marketing updates, there were some kind of interesting ones. The most interesting one here to me is this partnership that's getting launched. I think this is really cool with the ZipMex. It's really a platform where there's going to be some liquidity providing and just SPS, more places where there'll be for it to be bought and sold is great. Places where we can go and stake it for earning additional rewards is really cool, or going to liquidity pools. This is all stuff that you'll probably want to check out. They did a full post on it. One of the coolest things, though, is they're going to be putting these Splinterlands machines inside the arcade where people can play the game. That's going to be pretty interesting. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. This is something I wouldn't mind seeing in person if I could, but I'm not anywhere near Thailand right now. I tried to read it instead of just say it. So, but Thailand is a big market for the Splinterlands game. Play to earn games that can make you a few dollars in the US are cool and fun for us, and we play them a little bit. If you can make 10, 20, 30 bucks in a game if you played it all day in some other countries, that's a decent amount of extra money for you to spend. So they're having the Z launch and staking mechanisms. They did that on January 14th. They have the arcade booths already up back on the 16th, and on the 20th they did some billboards and things like that. So it's fun to see some maybe like physical marketing going place in markets that if you might not see it if you're in the U.S. or in Europe or something like that, or one of the first world countries where it's not as play to earn isn't as big of a thing yet in those places because people are not fully understanding them. Whereas people in countries where if you make the $20 to $30 a day playing games, it beats out working at a lot of jobs that you have access to. Well, that's a big thing. So if we go back here to the summary, one of the other things that they talked about were that they are currently working with the top 6 pre-sale buyers to get those legendary summoners designed. They'll make up 6 of the remaining 8 airdrops. So we might be reaching a point here if pack sales continue at the rate they're going, where we will be waiting for those cards to be finished up before we can get them dropped. Hopefully that won't happen, but I know that they have to work those out and make sure they're perfect. They try to make these designed cards very powerful, but still not overbalanced. I mean, we're talking about cards like Llama, Jotun, Mimosa, Bizing Kitty. These are going to be some of the biggest drops, going to be some of the highest in demand, and I really hope all of you know that this is going to be your chance to get some really, really good legendary cards. We did see, and then we're going to get to the current 8 airdrop cards as well. We're going to try to finish this out pretty quick. Land, they're really trying to work on the land economics, designs, and all of that stuff, but they're not. No leaks on that yet. They did say something that was kind of interesting, that totems are going to be able to be mined and harvested from lands. So this is something that's going to make the current amount of totems maybe not as valuable, but we'll have to see the exact thing that comes out of this, if those totems are as good as the ones that we got for free when we purchased our original land. They did talk again about how vouchers will be used in Riftwalkers, that they're looking for more use cases for vouchers, and Aggro really wants vouchers worked into everything because he's really proud of that ability to support people that have large stakes in the game. They are talking about revamping their tournaments completely. They're going to be trying to change these things in a huge way, and they hired somebody in particular, Weirdbeard, to try and go and do that, so that was something pretty cool. NFT Gaming has got a lot of harsh criticism. They're aware of that. And so Splinterlands is starting to target people who are open-minded. This is something to remember when they're doing their advertisement. Throwing up advertisements in the wrong place where people who already hate crypto or hate NFTs, because there's been some backlash in some of the other worlds and games where they're like, we don't want to see NFTs come to our video games, because when we play video games, it's to escape the real world. It's to escape money issues. I can understand that mindset to a little bit. But at the same time, for certain games, I feel like when you put that much time into them, it'd be nice to be able to get a little bit back from them when you decide to move on, if you've got some of those items that are truly rare and truly amazing. Skins are not a huge priority. There was an artist that asked about putting skins into the game if he designed them. They said one of the problems with skins and why they haven't opened it up to like a lot of people putting them in there is that this is a competitive game where people can win money, and if your team comes up and once land is out, there's going to be a second phase of the game, and I'm going to be able to play a spell to try to counter your team or an equipment card or some other thing. And if I don't know what monsters you actually played because you skinned them up with some artist's unique skins that aren't even close to the original thing, and I can't figure it out in time and the timer goes away, I'm now at a disadvantage. I might lose that match because I didn't realize I should have played something to stop you from healing, because all those cards had healing. That was the example that they gave. I don't know if that's completely accurate, because ability symbols would be the same, HPs and attacks would be the same, but it still might be a little too confusing to where they'd have to make that timer so long that it was kind of annoying. DigiCon is going on this weekend. I was there yesterday for the main event. I might go in there a little bit tonight and just see what's going on and who's in there. Maybe try to talk to some more people. I had some fun conversations. It was a good time. No real big announcements out of that. Just a really good time. Oh, and you can win some swag, so that's one thing. Oh, we got some cool eye candy. So this is Yabamat's business card. So that's going to be a pretty cool different thing, you know. We got a look at the Spirit Porter. So this is our next neutral legendary airdrop. I don't know if he's going to be kind of in the a la history of kind of neutral legendary tankish cards like the Lord A or the it's hurting my brain. I can't remember the 7-cost one. We'll check it. I can't believe I can't remember the name of that card right now. And then the Carnage Titan, which is going to be a dragon airdrop. This is going to be interesting because this will not be a dragon that is a summoner. So this is going to be probably some kind of tank. And then we got some cool airdrops with each of the new legendary airdrop cards. All right. So now let's go ahead and get to spinning the wheel for giving away my DEC. We'll do a live wheel spin. We'll send off some DEC, and then we'll get into covering each one of the legendary summoners. I'm going to put timestamps because it's going to be P7711. You are the winner. So let me just go ahead and go here. Go to my main account. 1000 DEC. Is it? I just want to go double check something. As you know, I put these videos on my Hive blog, and if you come and enter them, you have a chance to win 1000 DEC. I just want to double check that that's his name. Yeah, 7. Okay, got it right. I always want to make sure that there's not an extra one that's part of the their reputation power or their how many days ago they posted, because I pulled the stuff off of the blog. Okay, so now we're in my account, and we are... Oh, wait, one of the things I want to talk about briefly, we are at 6.79 million packs sold, so we are only 210,000 packs away from the next airdrop, and then only 500,000 after that will be the halfway mark of this sale. So that's just something to remember. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the airdrop cards. Here's a little brief look at my current legendary collection from the new set. As you can see, I did get enough airdropped cards to max out all of the new ones, and I did actually open enough in packs to where I've got maxes of all the legendaries. This is something I always I do now in the legendary airdrop sets. I want to get a maxed out card of it because the cards tend to go up in value over time by quite a bit, and it's just one of those things you want to add it to your team as quick as possible because it will start to surprise people. Now I'm going to go ahead and review them in the order that I think most people think they're most powerful, and then we're going to go over them too at each level and kind of the leagues they would be. So for Iza The Fanged here, I'm going to actually say that in bronze, this card is not that impressive. So a 4-cost card with only 1 attack, 4 speed isn't bad, and 3 health is a bit strange. Now, the one advantage to this card that people might not see is it's a sneak card. So I could see this combined not with the new summoner, but with the Untamed summoner that takes away armor. Also, the Untamed set has another 4-cost card that has sneak. He's a little sneak attacker. And so you could combine her with him, and then together in bronze, they could be doing 3 damage to the last position. And it would be kind of a different tank for the team because you could take away armor, and maybe you could take out like General Sloan's double attacker if they throw them at the end early on in the turn, because both of those cards are much faster than that card. So that's the only use case I can really see. A Scavenge is an interesting thing for an archer because it can hit the front row with a lot of life and kind of tank some extra hits, but it also can't really ever be your last monster because what's the point of that if there aren't things behind it that can attack while it's being that meat shield? So those things are almost counterintuitive on an archer. They're better on a mage. So this is, you know, an interesting combo. Now, when we get up to level 2 and we get into silver, now she has 2 attack. This makes it a much more playable card. If you run into any weird shields anywhere, you're still going to deal damage. Now that sneak combo is dealing 4 damage per turn, and I just feel like this is a little bit more playable. Still not spectacular 4 for 2, but an interesting card. You can combo it with like Uraeus and some other neutral sneak cards, and you can turn into like a green sneak team. Again, doesn't make a lot of sense with the current new summoner. I think this is a card that could get a big improvement with the legendary summoner. Remember, the beta legendary summoner adds +1 to ranged attack for the Earth team, and since the rare adds +1 magic, could the airdropped Earth team summoner be a replacement for Prince Rainer? And we get another +1 range. Maybe not exactly the same, but a +1 range with maybe +1 speed, and not +1 health, because that would be the same. But if it is, then we get then it would be a very interesting card, because if the team had a way to get it up there. Now in modern format, full format, where you can play her with the prince, she's a much more usable card because then she has 3 attack. But if you have a prince, you're probably not playing at the super lowest levels. So we'll go ahead and look here. Now, once you get her to level 3, stun on a sneak monster, this is the first time she becomes playable in my mind if as a card that's not part of a sneak team. Because in this case, she can be targeting the last monster and looking to stun it. The last monster is sometimes a healer, a strong mage, or a strong archer. So with a fairly fast attack at 4, having a good shot of possibly hitting that monster before they go and stunning them and stopping them from attacking, that I find very, very useful in certain battles. Still kind of dangerous to play one monster that shoots off in a different direction, but if the goal is not necessarily to kill that monster but to stun that monster, it's definitely an interesting play in my opinion. At max level, you pick up that 3rd damage. Now you're talking 4 costs for 3 damage with a stun, a scavenge. You almost wish that sneak wasn't there, right? It's going to be a funny card to see people throw out on the board when sneak is removed, because then you're going to have a stunning scavenge main monster that hits the first position. So overall, I would say Iza is not a card that ever is going to be a dominating card, but it is an interesting one. It can be played in Little League, so it does give them kind of an interesting lineup in Little League that you can put together that can attack the last position. And they were already a good Little League team, so for that, I think it does improve one rule set for them quite a lot, but that's not enough for me to say that this is an absolutely overpowering card. Okay, now let's go ahead and get to Lira. Now, Lira I actually like a lot better, but I'm a bit of a Death fan, and so I lose a lot. No, Death can win, but not all the time. But we're talking now about an archer at level 1 that costs a lot to only deal 2 damage, but 6 speed, 6 HP. It has snare, which is an interesting little bonus for those earthquake matches that you can go ahead and snare the other monster or snare a flyer, making them easier to hit, considering her 6 speed shouldn't miss very often. On top of that, it's an opportunity monster. Opportunity monsters are always cool. They can be kind of a beast, but definitely this is only in bronze going to be used for very, very high mana matches and where you want to kind of combo kind of an opportunity or sneak play. Because of that, I do like her, because the current Death team already has the 5-cost Shiva that has sneak, and they have another opportunity monster from the Untamed set. And there's just, this can play into those when you end up getting like a 40 mana match and you still want to play that when Dingo in the front and your sneak monsters, and then you throw her at the end. And opportunity isn't the same as sneak, but it plays well with sneak because she's gonna by her second turn, if one of your sneak monsters left somebody with just a little bit of a life, she's going to take them out at the beginning of that second turn. And with 6 HP, she should be able to survive for a little bit. Now, in silver, when you push her up a level and she gets a 3rd attack, this is pretty special, because now you're talking about a 6 speed, 3 attack, good chance it's going to go first, and good chance it's going to snipe the weakest monster on the other side, and with 3 damage, good chance it's going to kill it. Also, the Death team has ways to remove armor, so this is a pretty cool ability. I don't know if they get it by silver, though, so I could be wrong on that. I'd have to double check it. This is somebody who I play champion most of the time. My Death guys remove armor a lot, but we'll have to see. Now, here she gets pretty exciting. The Death team in general has lots of ways to slow, and now they have a way to make their team faster. Nightmare can be almost unhittable in some modes, so that's a fun thing to do. And so now she becomes a card with high mana that has a speed buff or a speed debuff. I want to tell you why that's important. The Death team is one of the few cards, if you combine this with the 6-cost mage that slows, with cards 6 and 7 that do speed boost and speed debuffs. Because lots of times when you're in that 30 to 40 mana match, you don't want to play an ooze. You don't want to play a brownie. You don't want to play any card that costs even a flame mage at 3 and a a shaman on the fire team at 3. If you're talking a 50 mana match, you put two cards that only cost 6 mana on the board. Those guys are going to be little and not strong enough to compete with those big cards. So I love big cards with speed boosts. Now we get her to max level. Now she has the speed boost, but with 4 damage. And overall, this is a great combo. Also, she becomes an interesting card to combo with Selena, because with Selena, she'll do 5 damage. And then you can combo her with the Dragon Jumper. And so now you have 2 very, very early turn people who are going to be going ahead and popping off somebody who has low HP, but even if that person has 6 or 7, they're going to just burn right through that person. So I think Lira the Dark is a really good card. I do think that in certain mana formats, she's a great addition to the team, and I do think that you'll actually see her on the board a decent amount when the death team takes the board. I know I can't wait to play a little bit more and use this card. I haven't had as much of a chance recently, but I'm definitely going to try to get you some examples of this card doing really well. And now let's talk about the one that I think a lot of people love, Grum Flameblade. I'm sorry. So Bloodlust is now in the game. So anybody who doesn't know, gladiators have Bloodlust. It's an ability that was only given to them until now. Gladiator cards can only be used in phrase, so it's not something some of the smaller bronze players are ever going to see. Now we get a pretty beastly card, 11 cost, meant for high mana, 4 attack, 5 void armor, 10 HP, but only 1 speed. So is Grum good for bronze? I'm going to say in general, no. I've made a new account. I've been playing in bronze. You don't really get high mana matches in bronze until you get up into bronze 2 and bronze 3. And even then, with Kilia being kind of the default kind of card that you see quite a bit being used, 1 speed, he's not going to hit very often. Also, the fire team at that point, if you're playing the new set, they don't have cards that can really buff speed yet. And so overall, I'm going to say that this card is going to be kind of unimpactful at the lower levels of the game. I do not think a lot of bronze players are going to use him very often. Now, I will caveat that he could get a little bit more play in tournaments, and in like melee monsters can attack from everywhere, but only really if mana gets up into the 50s, 40s, 50s, or those 99 mana matches. You occasionally see those in bronze, but in my experience, just not that often. I think it's something they have programmed. It's probably something they should change, and maybe they will if they're going to continue to put out these 11, 10, 7 cost monsters. Also, this does show that it looks like most of this team some of the team are getting 11 cost tanks if they didn't already have an 11 cost tank. So that's something to notice, because now this is the second one. Uriel also got airdropped to us, and he was an 11 cost tank for the white team, the life team. Okay, so now we're getting up into the gold league, and now he gets a little more interesting. Oh wait, I should say in silver he picks up Void. This makes him more playable in silver, because if you think you're going against a mage deck, having somebody out there that has 17 life against mages with Void armor and Void means that he's going to be really tanky and really be able to take a lot of hits. And then there's some neutral repair cards that would almost work like repair heals for him. So that's kind of interesting. I will say, though, that 1 speed is still going to be a problem. Obviously, all of Grum becomes awesome in any reverse speed matchup if you can get him on the board with the mana. Now, at 3, he gets kind of interesting. He picks up Giant Killer on a card that deals 4. So 8 damage on any target 10 or more is definitely kind of interesting. It almost feels like this card is meant to counter Uriel. So that's something that's kind of interesting to see. He still has the Void and the Void armor, and he still has Bloodlust. The one advantage to Bloodlust on a slow monster is if he can land his blows, he's going to be able to absolutely get the last attack on somebody that should have their armor gone, should be weak, and he should finish off. And then you could, if he does that a few times, his attack and speed won't be a problem anymore, because he'll get an additional speed each time he kills someone. So once he's killed 2 people, he's a 3-speed monster. He's not going to miss nearly as much anymore. Then we go here to the final level, and he, for the champion and diamond leagues, he's almost the same monster as gold. He just has that 1 extra attack to deal with those bigger monsters. Now, I absolutely think that you are going to see some examples of Grum just absolutely being a beast, but I do feel like he's a little bit pigeonholed to reverse speed games or people with Biz and Kitty in high mana matches. I absolutely want to try him with Biz and Kitty. You make it so he can't miss, and he could be quite a force to be reckoned with. That also will allow you to combo him with some of the other dragon cards that are kind of quick, that can kind of set him up to deal some really powerful finishing blows. I think this card will be a fun card in the 99, 50 manas with Biz and Kitty. That's where I'm going to play this card, and I think it'll do quite well there. All right, everybody. So that kind of goes over all of the new legendary cards that we've gotten recently, and I hope you had a good time. The video is a little longer because we did that, but if you stuck around, it's because you kind of wanted to get my opinion on those cards. I will be doing my 3rd episode of my series on the Steve Gold account to kind of show you where it's at. Just a little teaser, I've made it to bronze 1. I'm 9,000 power short of silver, so now that grind count starts to get him to silver. I will outline in that post the current plan, but that account is not even a week old yet, and we're in bronze 1, so that $150 investment has gotten me, into bronze 1. I'm not earning a whole bunch, but I am earning DEC while I play the game. That unlocks renting for that account. Renting makes it so I can be more competitive and win, and then eventually I'll be able to move up to silver. Now, obviously too, while you're trapped in bronze, you can try to compete for that bronze leaderboard, but we'll see if that account can do that or not. Since I didn't level up a Kelia deck and I don't have a high level blue cards, and those guys kick my butt all the time, I don't think so, but that is the next team that I'll be planning to level as soon as some of my Hive blog posts start to pay off on that account. All right, everybody, have a good one. Goodbye.